Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and the date today is Wednesday, June 26th, 2024. I've been doing a countdown of my favorite video games of all time through each day of the year, and coming in at number 189 is Pokemon Colosseum. Pokemon Colosseum might be the weirdest Pokemon game out there. Yes, it's more weird than Magikarp Jump, a game literally about training your Magikarp to jump and with nothing else. In Pokemon Colosseum, you play as Wes, a silent protagonist that, while lacking in words, is not lacking in absolute edge. Take one look at his outfit and understand that I think the sequel to this game was made out of an obligation to name something XD Gale of Darkness. The game opens with Wes breaking into a terrorist organization named Team Snag'em, which is just such a stupid name, so he can steal their device, a snag machine, which makes the name more stupid. I'll give you one guess as to what the machine does. So, you can steal other people's Pokemon now, which, given that you're in a region with absolutely no wild Pokemon, that's kind of important. That's right, you're in a Pokemon game in a region where Pokemon don't just exist as part of life. How everyone else got theirs to begin with, I'm not really sure. The region is pretty interesting if you like lifeless wastelands with the occasional oasis of something cool. Considering the region is based directly on Phoenix, Arizona, that's pretty appropriate. Have you ever been to Phoenix? In the words of Peggy Hill, this city should not exist, it is a monument to man's arrogance. And that's pretty much how I feel about the entire Orin region in this game. Give me a Pokemon game with some exploration and wild Pokemon, please. There's not even an overworld. You just pick a spot on the map and ride your motorcycle there. It's just a little cutscene and then, hey, you're there. My other main complaint about the game is the pacing. You start at level 30-ish and then go absolutely nowhere fast. Your character's movement and the battle sequences are so slow! There's some good reason for the battle, however. Every battle in Pokemon Colosseum is a 2v2 battle, which is actually one of my favorite things about it because it feels so different from the rest of the franchise, but it does mean you have to sit through twice as many attack animations. With no wild Pokemon, however, that means every time you go into combat, you have to do some trainer dialogue. You'd think that's not an issue, because how many trainer battles could there really be? I mean, right? You know, the answer is a ton. Like, so many. Back to back to back to back, and that's in like a span of like 10 feet. So the world is dumb, and the pacing is awful. Why do I like this game? Because it turns out 2v2 Pokemon battles are pretty fun, and there's a sweet gimmick. With the Snag Machine, still hate that name, you can catch opposing trainers' Pokemon, but not just any of them. Through your travels, you are accompanied by a girl who you rescue early on. She can see what's called Shadow Pokemon. Remember, we're dark and edgy here. Shadow Pokemon are evil because their hearts have been closed off. They're mean and will attack people with reckless abandon. So once you catch them, how do you save them? By attacking people with reckless abandon, of course. There's other ways, but the main way to reduce their shadow meter, which replaces the experience bar for these Pokemon, is by battling. Each time they make a move, it lowers their bar just a little bit, but they might go into Hyper Mode. While in Hyper Mode, your Pokemon has a way higher crit chance, but they also might not listen to your commands, or even attack its teammate. If you don't want that risk, you can use the Call command to snap them out of it and massively reduce their shadow meter. So what do you do once the shadow meter's empty? Well, after several hours of gameplay, you'll find the Relic Stone, which is connected to Celebi. That's right, my absolute favorite legendary Pokemon is here. Time travel's cool. You don't time travel in this game. You can interact with the Relic Stone to purify a Shadow Pokemon whose meter has been emptied, allowing them to now gain levels and unlock their full moveset. Overall, I really like the Shadow Pokemon mechanics, and it's a pretty interesting change of pace for how you typically juggle your teams. Pokemon Colosseum tried a lot of things and took some big risks. This was an early 3D Pokemon RPG with a much more expansive world than others available at the time, despite the lack of actual overworld or exploration. And while much of the gameplay can be boiled down to a trainer battle gauntlet, like in Pokemon Stadium's gym badge grind, being able to run around and actually interact with the world with some cool new mechanics more than made up for the lack of my 230th favorite game's minigames. Join me tomorrow as I talk about my 188th favorite game, where the hallways are hallways, the cities are hallways, and even the lakes are hallways.